Good afternoon, Mr. Lecuit. Okay, excellent work. I just have a few comments, and even though there are few, they're important. First of all, check out the APA standard for writing dates in research papers. You might as well get used to it now. Dates in research papers. I don't believe we use the first 30th and so forth. Notice this is important. You have a title, case analysis for Barbara and so forth, and then you have Barbara's rights and Barbara's damages, but you didn't give the other side, you didn't segregate the other side of the argument. It's important that you use these headings to segregate both sides so that your reader knows what they're doing. Now, a little technicality. Case analysis, Barbara versus Alfred on page 2 is a level 1 heading. Why? It's centered and bold-faced. Then you should have used a level 2 heading on your page 3. Instead, you used a level 1, bold-faced and centered. It should have been left margin, bold-faced. Same thing on page 4. And then you also needed a conclusion. I know you call it damages, but try to be consistent with your headings for your boss. Normally in this kind of in business world, you're going to use conclusions and recommendations. A rather biggie is on page 5. You talk about the Uniform Commercial Code, but you didn't list it in your reference list. I know that you were using the textbook, but the textbook, as far as the UCC goes, is a secondary source. And the UCC is a primary source. So you would use the UCC, like for example on page 5, the definition of goods according to UCC is all physically existing things that are removable at the time of identification to contract for sale. But then you quoted Kubesic. You see, you're quoting a secondary source to talk about a primary source. The best thing to do is read the primary source. That's how it works, because one, you're not going to have textbooks in business. They're just not reputable enough. They're not vetted enough. They're out of date as soon as they're printed. So use primary sources for everything you do. Finally, at the bottom, in the middle of page 5, use Article 2. I thought it was called Section 2. Boy, how silly of me. I'm getting old. In reference, that's in reference to the press only. Everything else, very well done. Other than those few items, it's the first A+ I've given out, I think, in this course, except for discussion boards, which don't really count. But congratulations on an A+ on this tough course. If you have any questions, please be sure to send me